Okay, we are back with another video for the tools, kind of like the simple tools for the beginner, some tools that Matt loves to use, and I've actually kind of just left it up to him with what we're sharing next. And so this is kind of getting into more of a, you'd call this a power tool?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is kind of like our first, is it our first power tool, I think, that we've shared in this little series we're doing. And this is a circular saw. So I'm going to have Matt kind of take it over from here. The difference between like having a battery powered one with no cord. This one has a cord, what he started out with. There are different blades. We'll kind of go over those and then maybe just show you simply how to use these. But do you use these for, I mean, we've used these in flip houses and on like construction, more construction jobs. But we've also used them with furniture flipping. Have you?
Yes.
For like cutting tops to pieces or trim pieces? What for like
corners, anything, angles.
Okay, so
Used it all. Anything that can cut, we've used this. Metal, cement, blocks, anything.
we'll get into all of that. So okay, all right.
First tool I got was this one. I didn't know a lot about it, so your father got me this one because at the construction sites or when we were flipping houses, I was more of the demo guy, and so I needed like a lot more power to cut framing stuff, demoing things. So I got this one.
When you say you needed more power, why this one has more
This
power
one
than like
lasts-
this?
Yes, this one has like more torque. It'll last longer and everything like that.
Is that because it's a plug-in?
Yes.
So the ones with the cord have more power than a battery operated one?
I find that, yes.
Okay, all right.
But after I got this one, I found that I use this one a lot more.
And why?
It's easier to use. It is smaller. So, for 2x4s, 4x4s, I use this. But for 1x4s, simpler projects, DIY, I use this. It's just more lightweight. It's compact. It's easier to handle, steer, and it's just more. It's convenient.
It's convenient. And this is just your regular, just like a battery operated tool.
Yes.
So for these, like he said, you can use these to cut metal, wood, concrete. And we just laid out a few of the blades here. He has more, but so you would get different blades depending on the job you need. So the wood blades, cement blades, metal blades, depending on what you need. And there's something to notice about the blades. If you can see that the teeth are different, like these are bigger teeth, I guess that's how
More teeth, less teeth.
Oh, okay, more teeth and less teeth. And what's the difference between those two?
So most of the times I use it is mainly for the wood. The one with less teeth or bigger teeth, those are going to be for your big cuts, your 2x4s, your fast cuts, everything like that. Your smaller teeth is going to be more for your fine finish, for like your trim pieces, your veneers, stuff where you don't want it to like flaw at the end, or how it gets those.
Well, I like more finish work, or more like, you want a fine cut, where this, like, you need to rip through a 2x4 quick, and, like you're measuring it quick. You don't care really what the end result looks like. You'll still get a straight cut, but where this is more like your finish work, you want it more a fine cut, just more, it needs to be more perfect, if that makes sense. That's why you would use the smaller teeth or the more teeth. Okay. Are you just going to start?
Are we ready to cut?
Yes. So he's just going to show how to use this one.
Mm-hmm.
So on these boards, I have shared this many times. Always keep your scrap boards. Pick up scrap boards if you find them at yard sales and things. We use them for all kinds of projects.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut right there on that line.
Okay, do you see what Matt just used? Just so you know, watch our previous video. This is a square. I think one of the neighbor kids is just kind of screaming here. This is a square. We did a whole video on how to use this, why you use this, and so he just made a line here quick with that square. So check the other video for that.
Okay. So how we do it is right here is kind of like a little guide. All right. So that will kind of match up. The light is not very good.
I know the lighting isn't very good. No, you're okay. You're
so
okay.
that will match up right there into the
line.
Yes. You know what? Before I back up.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
All right. Before I back up, what we want to do is we want to make sure the blade is just a little bit larger cutting than the board.
You want it thicker or you want it? So you see this board is how thick this is. You need to kind of measure and make sure the blade.
So what we do is I'm just going to loosen this up, and then you can adjust how thick of a board it is. So for safety reasons, let's take the drill out.
Not taking the drill out, you're taking the battery out.
Battery out, sorry.
Okay.
And then we get underneath it.
Oh, sorry, I'll go this way.
Underneath it, over here.
Oh, underneath it.
And you can kind of see we barely want the blade peeking through. That'll just help control it. Then if you have your foot or something underneath there as well.
So that's just showing he just wants that blade just to go through that board. That's how thick the board is. So that's all he needs for that's the size that he needs this blade to be to cut through this board.
And then we'll go ahead and tighten her up.
Tighten her up. The way you said that's kind of like a construction way. Okay.
All right, then we're gonna go back and put that right there in your.
The battery back in.
Put that guide right there.
And then you're gonna put the guide down. Okay.
Right. And then what we're gonna do is you can kind of see.
Watch that with.
Where the blade, I haven't started it.
Yeah,
it's going to hit the pencil mark.
It's right on there because that guide, he put it right on that pencil mark.
All right.
He's got safety goggles on now.
Always wear them for this because that will, a lot of dust, dirt, everything just goes up into you. All right, and then when you're ready to go, what you're gonna do is back it up slightly. You're gonna hit the safety lock and you're gonna go.
And then a question, do you have to like hold it really still? Like what if you had a long board? Do you just have to?
Get to that.
Okay, all right.
All right, and then, so I've cut it a lot, so I feel a little more comfortable doing it without a guide.
He's had a lot of experience.
Yes, but if for some reason you're ever doing a cut, we showed this in the video, and you want to make sure it's absolutely straight.
We showed it in the square video
Yep,
that we
square
shared.
Video. You can just use that right as a guide.
Yes, and I wish I could show it's all over my sweatshirt. So definitely wear safety goggles. Now, if you guys notice, like for me, I would want that pencil mark and I wouldn't use this because my hands are smaller. So I can't hang on to this and do that. So that's just something to think about. But the more and more you do it, like Matt.
It's another bonus of the light one because you can use it one-handed.
A lightweight. You can't use that one one-handed.
And this is basically what we're doing right now is a cross cut.
Okay.
We're going across the screen. You also have the option on here to adjust this to where if you want to do a 45-degree cut.
Oh, wow. I've never seen you use it like that. And you don't because you have a miter saw.
Well, yeah, but you can't do it.
I didn't know you could use that like that. What?
So the same thing would go. You have your guide.
I have never seen this. I did not know this thing did this. And he always uses a miter saw for this. Okay, you guys, this is such a good thing. I'm glad this happened because what he forgot to do for that 45-degree cut, he's got to make the blade bigger because it's going to go in at an angle and it's going to have more to go through. Does that make sense? So he didn't make the blade longer like we showed you in the beginning. I love when things like this happen because this is how you learn. And so I don't want to edit this out of the video because this is how it, but he just totally forgot to do that. That's why it didn't go all the way through.
Yes. Battery.
Okay, I'm glad that happened too. So that was one thing I was actually going to mention after he started this. The one thing about these that I don't love, the batteries, is, the battery. So if you don't have them charged, then you're having to wait to charge them up to finish your project. So definitely when we're at a flip house, you know, a much bigger project where we need these kinds of things all the time, we usually have, I mean, we take them both, but we're always using the what is that called? The one with the cord.
Yeah.
The electrical one.
Do I want to keep finishing it?
No, that's fine if you don't want to. You can move on to what you're going to do next. Okay. So he just put on another battery. So would you recommend that people get multiple batteries for their battery operated tools? So
like
then
we talked about with the drill, if you can always get.
Did you take that battery off, or is that safety in? So why don't we show them where the safety is and what that is?
Well, I don't have that in.
So that has to be in. So that's the safety for it to work.
Yeah.
But the battery, you just always have multiple batteries.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there something else? Yeah.
Okay, now we are going to do a long cut.
Our light went out. A long cut. What was the cut that we did?
A rip.
A
that
rip.
was a cross cut going against.
Is rip a construction word?
Yes.
Okay, so that was a cross cut.
Yeah, against the grain.
Against the grain.
Now we're going with the grain.
Now we're going with the grain.
All right, so here you can't use it as a guide.
Right, you can, because it only goes, so you can't make this. So Matt's going to show you what he does. Obviously, you can use chalk line. You can use a longer, like yardstick. You can use, what is that big thing called?
So if I went to, what?
It's like a big square or something. Longer square.
So if I want to cut it at 2, all right.
You measured the same spot. On both.
For those who have used it a while, I've done this before.
Okay, I just have to share this. I got him this. It just hooks to your shirt and the pencil stays in there. He uses it every time he's in the garage. Another little tool that I think everybody should have. Okay.
So I made a line that you can cut.
He just used this as a straight edge, and definitely when you're using things like this as a straight edge, obviously make sure it's a straight edge first.
Yes.
You don't have a warped board or something.
All right. And what we're gonna do is, for the first time people that would not be very good at making a straight cut, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this as a guide.
Okay. And Matt knows this because when he started using these, he could never get a straight cut. Never. My dad was always like, Matt, what are you doing? Like, you're moving and, so anyway.
All right.
What did you just do?
So what I did is I measured from this guide to the blade.
Okay.
And it's 1 inch.
Okay.
Okay. So this mark was 3.
Okay.
Or 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to mark 3, which is 1 inch more.
Because that covers the size of the saw.
Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp this guide.
Another thing he uses all the time, these clamps in the garage for different things. We should probably do a video just with these kind of random things that you use all the time that aren't really like a tool video, but yet.
All right.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
I'm just going to move this over.
Yeah, you're good. So obviously, I guess we should mention this just because you obviously, whenever you are cutting, you want this piece that you're cutting off or where the blade's going to go hanging over a table or a workbench. We probably should have stated that right in the beginning, but again, he's measuring the blade to see.
The thing is nice is this safety feature.
Okay.
So basically, once it protects it, so if it's going and it's on and I bring it down, the safety figures it won't cut me.
Okay.
A lot of people, when they cut, they move this up and then start cutting.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Once you start cutting, it will push it back for you.
So once you start cutting, this guide thing comes up and does that on its own.
Not the guide thing.
Or
the
sorry.
The safety thing.
Sorry, yes. That does it on its own. So you don't touch that. You let
and then
it
once
do
you
the
come
work.
through, it'll snap back.
And that's just, yeah, that is a good thing to share.
Yeah. So I made the guide. So
see what, okay, before you start, can I just show? So he clamped this on. See, this is what he wanted to cut off, but yet his saw takes up this much room. I'm saying this in like non-construction terms. So then he had to put this here to get the cut there, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm cutting it the short way. If for some reason I wanted to do it left-handed, I would have probably had to measure from the blade this way.
And then done
this
it
would have
that
been-
way.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Easy peasy. Are there any other
Yeah.
things you were going to share? Okay.
There's another thing that you can do with this. I don't do it very often, but you can. So, your dad taught me this. I need another board.
My dad has worked in construction since he was like 15. He would work, my grandpa had a lot of properties. He would work on those, you know, and then he started doing his own stuff. So Matt's learned, like I've said in previous videos, Matt did not know any of this stuff when we met. So
You can also use this to notch wood.
okay.
So if I want to put a notch in so this fits down in it, kind of like a groove,
Okay.
all right? I will start making.
So he's kind of just measuring
Making a
this
mark.
board. We're going to act like we want that to kind of fit in here in a little notch here. Perfect.
Right, so
okay.
that's what I want it to fit.
Uh-huh.
So what I will do is I will basically take my blade to see how much I want to notch it. So if it just wants to be a little bit.
Okay, so this means we're not going to go all the way through this board. You see what he's doing here. We're not going all the way through the board. We just want to get a little notch in it so that other board will sit right in it. Okay.
Then we're going to take our little guide. We're going to line that baby up.
He's on.
And then we're going to do the same, but just to move it just like an eighth of an inch.
So what he was saying is you're just moving it in a little bit, and he's on top of the table because we're not going all the way through the board.
Yeah, I went a little bit too far on that one.
But there's an easy way to. Now he's gonna get, is it chisels?
I would get a chisel, but I'm just going to use that.
He's gonna show you with a screwdriver. We're just trying to make these kind of easy videos with things that you would have on hand. So since the blade was set at the same spot for each cut he did here, it's all level. So he just has to get those top pieces off. If you have wood chisels, use those for this. This flat screwdriver works as well in a pinch. And there you have that piece of wood fits right in that notch. So it's just another hack or easy thing to use a circular saw for. Is that it for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Let us know if you have any questions about the circular saw, about the blades, other things you can do with it. We want to keep these, like I said, these kind of this series of videos very easy for like the beginner, newbie, DIYer, maybe somebody that's got one of these saws but hasn't gotten it out and really used it yet. So definitely check out the rest of the videos. We've been sharing different tool videos. A few now. We've been sharing them every week. So again, share these videos if they're helpful. Share them if you know somebody else that could use these tips and these tricks. And as always, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see you with the next tool.